I think we have a long-term plan for our members as well. So I don't think we're just here to get people to burn calories and lose a bunch of weight quickly and then get out the door. I think we are trying to build a kind of robust, all-around kind of movement quality. So we're trying to teach people how to move properly through some of the big movement patterns. And we're not just throwing workouts at the board. Things are progressive. Things have a place in the program. Every exercise, every warm-up exercise has the ability to create kind of an adaptation or do what we want it to do. I think that is designed to maximize the progress of our members, not just right now, but through the future as well, with strength, mobility, and muscle building techniques as well.
You got your mic right in your mouth because you were a low talker.
I'm a very quiet talker.
You're not even in that thing. There we go.
There we go.
His shoulders are too big. You can't fit in there.
You can't fit in the chair.
Welcome everybody to Hang One Podcast. I'm your host with my co-host, Big Mike. Mike Fazio. And today on the show, we're bringing on the director of training here at the Garage Gym, who's become a pretty good friend of mine over the years, in the last couple of years since he's joined us, Austin Tilson. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Welcome to the show, you stud.
I was saying to Mike, I'm like, I watch the podcast every week, so it's good to be, on here and see what's going on. So.
All right. Okay. Every time I do this, we're going to tell you to speak up. That's what we're going to do.
Okay. You might have to do that on the floor too when I'm coaching anyway. So.
No, you used to.
Oh my God. Yeah.
When you first started here, you were quiet as a mouse, man.
Yeah.
And it was almost to the point where how are we going to get this guy to start talking? We could see he's got the potential. He knows it. He's obviously looks the part, but we couldn't get him to speak up. And now you do a great job in front of the class.
Yeah. Yeah, comfortability, I guess, too, right? When I first came in, I was just like, oh my God, there's so much to think about. And you don't even think about projecting your voice when you're not in front of people often, right? It's getting in that environment and actually learning how to speak confidently and loudly was just a huge learning curve along with other things, right? So
yeah, and the people were not even ripping on our people, but myself included, twice your age.
Yeah.
Also probably from a social aspect, how do you relate to people that are in their mid-40s that aren't your parents?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%, right? You come in here and it's I think I was 20 or 21 at the time, and it's this co-op kid, why is he telling me what to do, right? Which rightfully so, and nobody was really like that. Honestly, they're very welcoming, right? But it is just it's in the back of your mind when you're coaching, right? So you kind of earn that level of respect.
It's funny. I don't even know how you could be quiet in a gym like this. The energy here is always so high. I mean, I'm always loud anyways.
You are.
Yeah, but I don't even know how you could be quiet. It's such an odd thing to talk about. We need you to be louder. I'm I've never had to deal with that. I've never had that problem.
Never had that problem, man.
I've never had that problem. No.
Yeah. So, my problem is not being loud. It's seeing. So now that we've yesterday I go to Kingsville, I've been talking with my glasses lately because I'm looking at this thing and seeing is that actually recording right now? Is there a stop sign on that red dot?
Yeah.
So you guys can see that it's got the stop thing.
Just square peg and a round hole. That's what it looks like.
Yes, that's the one. Right. Yeah. So that's the problem. I can't see these things. I left my glasses in my bag because I got all these questions on my phone to read, Austin, but I can't. I can see I can see my phone perfect, but I put my glasses on, I can't see my phone at all.
What?
Yeah, it's I'm opposite. Most people have trouble reading up close.
Oh, the close and far.
I'm having trouble with distance now
crazy.
Instead of, and I haven't tried to hit a baseball or anything since, but I wonder if that's going to give me a hard time.
I was going to say that would be, I had when I was younger playing baseball, I actually had bad eyes, so I couldn't see anything.
You've had laser eye, right?
I have contacts. I wear contacts every
that.
day, and if I don't wear them, I wear glasses. And there's a point where I think it was around when I was in the 10th grade. I was man, I really can't see anything when I'm in school. And I finally went to the eye doctor and got contacts. And I'm oh my God, baseball was such a difference. I'm I can see the baseball finally now. This is crazy.
That's what I felt when I put them on the first time I watched a game on the TV.
Mm-hmm.
Or actually, the first time I looked at my backyard, I was wow, it's it was being on shrooms or something. I'm it's so beautiful out here.
Every blade
it's
of grass.
So colorful. So it was like I was looking through HD. It's the weirdest thing when I put them on now. It's abnormal.
Cool.
Yeah, when I was traveling last week, I get out of the train at Union Station, so I had to move my plans around. I had to take a train to get to Toronto because the Windsor to Toronto flight is such a pain in the ass around here.
Yeah.
So I get into Union Station, I pop out, and I've been working also worse is like when my eyes are tired, I've been working on my computer, get off the train, and then, you know, in Union Station, it's chaos. There's like, and I'm looking, and I've got to find where to go. Can't read any of the signs. None of them, like, at all. I'm like, oh no. And then I realized that Danny, right before I left, made me pack my glasses, and I tucked them away, and I'm like, put them on. I'm like, oh my God, thank God.
Welcome back. Yeah.
Thank God. Welcome back. Yeah, so let's talk about Austin, how you kind of found your way here. It's a funny story, the people that don't know it, about Austin. He kind of reached out. Your dad had made an introduction with us a few years earlier, but, you know, you meet so many people's kids and so many people at the police department. Austin's father was a cop with me.
Oh, didn't know that.
But he was way senior to me, and we worked together when I was junior, and he was a senior guy. But then, you know, you kind of fall apart. Obviously, I'd say hi to him when I'd see him, but you don't really see people when there's 500 people in your building.
Yeah.
And your dad was tucked away in an office towards the end of his career.
Yeah.
And I was in the basement. We were in opposite ends of the world.
Yeah.
We'd see each other a little bit because of the gun seizures and stuff. But anyways, and I just forgot that he had said, you know, his son was into fitness and was looking for a job. And Danny does all the hiring, so you had gone right through Danny, basically.
Yeah.
So you do your interviews, and what happens?
Yeah, so like basically I was at the college, right, and we had a co-op placement, and I was just like, okay, like where do I want to do my co-op at? Well, I remember looking and I saw the garage gym. I'm like, Tony Smith. I'm like, I think my dad worked with Tony Smith. Let's see kind of what this is all about, what the garage gym's all about. So, you know, I did some research, looked kind of at the gym website, and then I went into the Instagrams and everything, and it was just like everything that I kind of wanted in terms of the culture, the certifications that you guys had. And I'm like, oh, this seems like a really good place. So obviously I reached out to Danny. And the first thing I think she said to me when she came in was, are you Doug's son? And I was like, yeah, I am. So that was kind of how it started. I was like, this is going to be a really good place for me, I think. I'm going to learn a lot here. And then when I came in on my first day, you were the trainer. And I don't know if you even knew that it was like I was Doug's son until basically like. Well,
you've been here long enough to know that I probably didn't even know you were coming in.
Yeah.
Because everybody tells me stuff and I go, okay.
That's so funny.
Right? So I won't let your Doug's son.
Yeah, I think I walked in and
you're like, yo, the co-op. I'm like, oh, we got a co-op? So you tell me this funny thing, and you know, he's like, oh, I got something to show you after class.
Yeah. So basically, like, there's the day before my co-op, we have this kind of like picture frame, I guess, with a couple pictures in my house, in my hallway. And,
your mom and dad's house.
Yes, my dad, not my house.
Just so it makes sense.
Yeah. That'd be kind of weird. And I looked at it, and my mom's like, hey, a couple days before, I think I started here, and she was like, do you know who that is in that picture? There's a small picture, and it was me standing next to an officer, and you were in full gear, and she was like, that's Tony. That's who, you know what I mean, owns the gym. I'm like, that's insane. That picture's been there for like my entire life, and I never knew that. And I remember that day, like going to the site that you guys were working at, and so then I took a screenshot of it, and I was like, okay, like I'll show you a picture of it, you know what I mean, after class, and you thought it was hilarious. And
I've seen that photo. I don't know where.
I've used it online probably, and I often when people, I'm like, you ever hear about me in Austin? And so I love that picture. We'll get Fahad to throw it up on the YouTube version of this thing, but it's so amazing. He's like a little boy. I've got my gear. I'm a little boy at that time. I was probably 25, 26 years old.
Clean shaved. I've seen the old pictures.
It's so funny. Yeah. It's so funny that and funny too that like of all the pictures of all the things you've done, that's the one that get put up there, right? Because it's a collage of just things you've done in your life, cool things.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't like it was like a big picture of me and Austin on this on the wall, but like
now there's no.
Yeah. Now we've replaced it with the ones for me and you at the West Side Conference. Yeah. So man, the guy walks in here, he really hits it off, and we start to. It's always that challenge in small business where you've got people here that are great, like staff, and you never really have room for people.
Yep.
Right. But then when you get somebody and you see a clear talent, you're like, you know what? If it means cutting my hours down, which is what happened, I cut my hours down to make sure that we could get him in here because we saw so much potential in him, and then quickly within like 6 months, you kind of really caught your steam. It was also very nice because like you were a co-op. He was working for next to free. Next to free. We were throwing a couple bucks his way to make it more worthwhile to him, and just because to make sure that he understood we appreciated him. But it was getting that free co-op is pretty amazing, especially when they actually contribute. We've had some that you're like, oh my god, get this person out of here. We've canceled a few co-ops over the years, but
yeah, it couldn't have worked out any more perfect, right? Because I was just looking for a place where I could get on the floor and learn, right? And I think it just worked out in terms of the staffing that we had available too, that I was able to kind of take on a role where I was able to, learn under our trainers, and then, take on a bigger role of taking more hours on the floor as well. So it couldn't have worked out any better that way, and gave me a good opportunity to learn from you guys and learn from some of the courses you've done. And it was exactly kind of what I was looking for, getting into the industry and now finding a sustainable place to finally, work for the rest of my life, hopefully.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, you're the only person who's come through, as far as I know, through like a typical path of the gym. Maybe not typical how you got here, because we'll talk about your baseball and all that stuff, but like college co-op comes in with the actual education. We're very, you've heard me say on here a million times, I don't really care about the education. It's a great tool in the toolbox, obviously, but I just want a passion for fitness and nice people. Right. And then we'll you teach the rest. But he came with the actual knowledge, and then the other two things, and it was like, whoa, okay. And then he slowly developed from co-op into like part-time, from part-time into full-time, and then from full-time into like director of training. Like that's like it's like we have a real business. Like Austin's like our like example of we have a real business. Because of you. Yeah, and hopefully one day has some type of, whether that's direct ownership or like assumed ownership, and which you kind of do. That's what we love. We want owners to act like our employees to act like they own the place, and you really do, which is what we want to what we want to hear. What we love. So it's you find it rare in your industry to get somebody who's coming right out of like carpentry school, I'm sure, right?
It's impossible. I was actually talking to the college teachers the other day about this, and they even said that by the time the kid gets through the woodworking program at St. Clair, they are ready to go in. They are ready to go find a job and learn how to build. Yeah, it's like, I thought that's what they were at the college for, but it's like, no, they're getting them ready to be able to learn to build inside the field, and it's like, you just get, that's a very hard thing. So to actually come here with all of that is a huge bonus for everybody involved, really.
Yeah. And so one question, I guess, for the college and like the learning part, which I guess what the co-op is for, maybe, and you correct me if I'm wrong, is like we talked about when your weakness when you first walked in the door for sure was your ability to communicate effectively to a large group. Even in a small, like even a one-on-one, you had trouble expressing yourself, you were shy. Yeah. Is there any part of that in the actual school curriculum that would help you through that, or is that why you're being sent to a co-op?
I think it's a bit of both, right? I see right now, like I actually have the opportunity now to teach in the program that I was at.
Oh, right. Yeah, there's another layer to this guy.
I see like a lot of the students now and some of the classes that we teach, and we do a good job of trying to make them interact with each other and making sure that they're getting exposed to environments that they're going to be exposed to in the field, specifically in the group setting. So actually the class I teach on Thursday is like group strength and conditioning, basically. So it's like you're going to have basically a person in front of the class, and you have to take the class through some stuff, regress them, talk to people. So I think we try to really emphasize that, but you can't really do the same thing as what you're going to get out on the floor here, right? So I think that the co-op is really to teach those kind of soft skills, but also those skills of learning as well. Because like you said, talking to college students that are your age when you're in front is a lot different than talking to people who are twice your age. So I really think the college does a good job.
Pulled up and they're like, who's
this guy?
Yeah,
who's this kid?
Yeah. It's a completely
different. Pull up and they're like G-Wagon, like park their G-Wagon outside and then come in and like get like you're pulling in your minivan. You got the people who just left pulling in their like beautiful, $150,000 car, and it's like. There's like a difference in like life experience, and then sometimes with that success, not usually with our members, but sometimes can come that like, who's this kid telling me what to do, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Especially we really like a lot of people who've been here, they were so just used to having Danny and I tell them what to do. So every time we bring in a new person, it's like we actually announce to the membership, like, we have a new guy, Austin, he's going to be interviewing. I'd like to remind you that our job is to maximize our job. Including the members, is to maximize his potential. There will be learning curves. If you're seeing him having struggles here, go give him some advice, give him some feedback. That's what we want from the members, right? And then you're delegating ownership of the development of our of our new employees to everybody. Right. right? Because the people have been here, they know how to set up the room.
100%.
A lot of times, a lot of times we don't even need to be here.
Yeah,
it's the explainers.
Yeah,
a lot of the coaches. That's the joke going on in here sometimes.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But that's kind of like one of those things. Like it takes a village to raise a kid or something like that. It's kind of the same thing, like what you just explained. Like everybody's involved in developing the new teachers or new coaches. Yeah,
and then now, but we've taken. I mean, Austin's taken our training, which was crazy. So I always said the thing that separated us the most from other gyms was our culture and our training.
100%.
And culture will always be me, but it needs to be repped through from the newest person through the door to the top person, me, the CEO, whatever you want to call me. But the training was always the thing I held close to my heart, and I wouldn't give it away. We've had capable people here. I've touched give it away a little bit. Corey took a little responsibility. I had Casey take a little responsibility for a while, but I never really gave it away. Mm-hmm. And I think when this gym really started to succeed and we really started to see major transformations and business-wise is when I actually said, like, here, Austin, this is your job. Mm-hmm. Go with it. You run it by me, kinda.
Yeah.
Like, really not even at all anymore.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
And then you took that and you ran with it. And you're so much more than an explainer, and you've created our coaches, myself included, to become so much more than explainers because you are training them on the side. You're sending us videos. You're explaining the difference in these rep schemes, why we're choosing these movements. And then I wasn't, as the owner, I just wasn't giving the team enough of that. Yeah. So they could not pass that on. They don't know where my head's at. They're just looking at numbers. And now they're able to pass it on to the members. And the members really are buying into what we're doing because they understand what we're doing. It's not just do this. This is why we're doing this. And you've done a great job of that.
Yeah, I think like you said, anyone can create a program, right? Like you can create an amazing program. And then for me, like programming is just my passion. It's one of my favorite things about training. Is creating programs and understanding kind of the why behind that. And I think when you really told me, hey, this is your role, I want you to kind of go all in on this, it gave me the opportunity really to put all of my effort into one area, which was, creating the program and then educating the coaches on it, which in turn, right, then we're creating kind of the same message all around, right? We're speaking the same language. This is why we're doing this. And every gym's kind of getting the same thing. So I think, like anything, right, where we delegate roles in our business, it just allows a higher level of focus on one specific thing, and in turn it will kind of bring up each person, right? Like Joe will increase my knowledge on marketing and things like that, and then I'll in turn kind of give him a little bit more info on kind of what we're doing with the programming and allow us to send out a consistent message that way, which is amazing because I love the teaching aspect of it as well.
Yes, go ahead, man.
It's kind of like what you were saying earlier, like you had too many hats on. It's hard for you to be able to give everything to your team, give everything to the clients, the people that are coming to lift here, and you start to get spread thin. So you can't give 100% to everything because you're drained from the task before or whatever. So like really giving him more responsibilities, allowing you to do a better job on your side, which is amazing. And like you said, you control the culture, and the culture in this gym, I've said it every time, it's amazing in this place. It's so fun.
And they say, I've even given you that advice. It's just funny because it's like, take your own freaking advice, man.
Yeah, it's so hard.
And it's like, even if they do it to 75% of the level you're doing it, you're going to be able to pour effort out. Otherwise, and like where this has been amazing, it's like, he's not doing it to 75%. He's doing it to 125% of the level I was doing it, which is amazing. And it's been awesome to have you here, and I'm so proud of you. So I guess, Mike, you've dabbled in our garage gym programming, but one of the questions I get all the time is, what do you guys do here?
Yeah.
And so I'd like to hear from this is an interview test.
This is good.
So grab your coffees, dig in. Look at how full this is. Before we get into that question, we got to shout out the bucket list. Okay, the coffee shop just opened next door. Mm-hmm. Literally, there's nowhere to park around our gym right now because this place is hopping. It's beautiful. It's amazing. We couldn't be happier to have them. So
100%.
Shout out to our neighbors, and what a perfect business to have next to ours. It's going to probably cost me a few bucks because I'm going to be there all the time. But like our members are pumped. Saturday mornings, everybody's heading over there after. It's just, great. It is amazing to have. They made that parking lot
Yeah.
Which would be a little shitty lot between us, look beautiful. So once our lot's done and that lot is like completely done where they've made their outdoor eating area, this place is gonna be awesome.
This whole neighborhood is just changing so crazily fast.
Yeah.
The buildings are so amazing down here. Like there's a lot going on down here in Amherstburg.
Yeah, so they didn't pay for that plug. That was just me. But so Austin, all these people are walking by. What are we telling them when they ask? What's the garage gym training? What is it about?
Yeah, so the garage gym training is group-led strength and conditioning. We create simple and effective programs. We're going to create programs that are going to get you stronger. We're focused on strength and building muscle while we sprinkle in conditioning as well within our strength days and on kind of opposite or off days where we're not strength training. So we're designed to get you stronger, more resilient to injury, and we're building that gas tank. So we're using very simple and effective kind of principles with our programming. We're not trying to do anything fancy. We're trying to do the things that work. The program itself is created by me, and then we regress and progress based on what you need. So as soon as that workout is basically posted on the board, it is our coach's job to kind of change that workout in terms of movement patterns or even sets and rep schemes if we need to create kind of the most effective environment for the individual in front of us to succeed in our gym. So simple and effective programs. We're trying to get people stronger, build muscle, and have a gas tank to get things done.
It's amazing. Like, and what would you say though? I guess that's amazing. And like we do have such a diverse amount of people in here, and I don't mean diverse in like the typical way. We do have that too, right? You know, guys, girls, different. But what we have in here, I guess that is the diverse. We have just so many people at so many different fitness levels, in so many different stages of their lives. You know, genders, athletic abilities. You know, jack dudes to people who are, you know, in here to hopefully lose, you know, 50 to 100 pounds. And we've got such a diverse culture in here, so that's why the trainers have to regress and progress people appropriately. What would you say though? Like, I mean, like, why is what we're doing working versus like a boot camp that you know, without naming any or trying to bash on anybody, understanding the difference between what we're doing and what's happening at a lot of places where they're running just circuit training and high intensity training.
I think we have a long-term plan for our members as well. So I don't think we're just here to get people to burn calories and lose a bunch of weight quickly and then get out the door. I think we are trying to build a kind of robust, all-around kind of movement quality. So we're trying to teach people how to move properly through some of the big movement patterns. And we're not just, you know what I mean, throwing workouts at the board. Things are progressive. Things have a place in the program. Every exercise, every warm-up exercise has the ability to create kind of an adaptation or do what we want it to do. And we're not just throwing things at the board, right? We're progressing off of what we're doing. So if we're doing a back squat focused block, we are focused on, maybe front squats to start, and then, box squats, and then going into our traditional back squat. And we're trying to coach the crap out of the movement as well. So we're not just throwing random stuff at the board. Not like other gyms do that, but they could be.
But maybe they do.
Perhaps.
Maybe they do.
But there's always a long-term structure to the program, I think, that is designed to maximize the progress of our members, not just right now, but through the future as well, with strength, mobility, and muscle building techniques as well. I would say that's what separates us mostly from the other gyms, and in our ability to just change things up for them as well, right? Like our trainers on the floor, we know what the movement pattern is trying to target, and if that's not working for you, then we can adjust accordingly and still get the same result.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. What do you got, Mike?
For like what you guys do here that's different, like if I had to explain it?
No, I mean any kind of, what do you got any fitness questions for Austin? Anything for Austin?
Well, I definitely have fitness questions. You want to jump right into fitness questions?
Sure, man. Go ahead. We got so many. That's what he's here for. I mean, I post all the time. Help us out with podcast questions. This is the most I've ever got. So I think it's a perfect time. We got Austin in here again. We'll have him in here maybe every couple of months to address some of these things and think about that. He's just got such a vast history. You were a baseball player.
Yeah.
Right? Through school. And that kind of got back. We don't want that to get lost. So you've got, you're not just I think that's what goes with why you succeed as well, is you've put yourself, a lot of what I see in this industry is because I didn't grow up in this industry. I found it right out of a passion. And I see that a lot of people grew up in a box, right? They worked out in a gym, very linear.
Yeah.
do have a passion
Yeah.
for strength and conditioning and
Yeah.
fitness, and maybe not the conditioning part, right?
Yeah.
They worked out in a straight line, went to school, learned in a straight line, and then go into personal training and or group training, and that's where they struggle, is their ability to relate to normal people, because they didn't live what normal people do. They ate chicken and rice, and you did that too, but you also went out to college. You did put yourself in the co-op and this stuff. So talk about college a little bit. You were a good ball player, but you didn't even start till you were older.
Yeah, I had kind of a, like you said, I played a lot of sports, but I didn't really start playing sports till I was around the 7th grade, really. I just wasn't into sports, and then something just clicked kind of then. I played like, I think, house league baseball in grade 6, and then I was like, I kind of like baseball. So I tried out for like a LaSalle travel team, made the team. I was horrible. You know what I mean? I'd played like 3 months of baseball, so I needed a lot of work. And I went out and I found someone that was going to work with me outside of practice, which allowed me to improve my skills. And by the end of the, like, I was terrible at the start of the year, and by the end of the year, I was a better player. And then I continued to kind of progress through the baseball ranks, I guess, where I played around here for the Tecumseh Thunder, and then eventually for the Windsor Selects. And baseball was my main sport. I played a couple others as well. But I think the fact that I wasn't very good and I started very late was I had a big disadvantage that way. But I learned a lot from different coaches through the years, because I had to outsource, because I had to go to private lessons, because I didn't have...
You had to close the gap.
Yeah, I didn't have the background that everyone else had. So I learned from different coaching styles. Like my first coach, he was a friend at my mom's high school, and he grew up in Detroit, in basically the alleys of Detroit, playing baseball. He took some time and he actually worked with me and taught me things about baseball, and coached me in a different way. And then as I went through, I actually ended up having a coach where I went over to the States and I would see him like once a week, and he was in this state-of-the-art facility, and he was a pro baseball player, and he coached me as well, and it was just as effective, but he coached me in a different way. So I think as I kind of went through my baseball career specifically, I learned from a lot of people with different perspectives and coaching styles, which kind of helped me just learn different techniques to get through to people and talk to people, and it taught me how to be a better coach as I went through. And then I ended up out of high school, I really wanted to go away to the States, and I went and played like a year and a half basically in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So I went to Fort Wayne, played at Indiana Tech University for a year and a half there. Again, met lots of cool people there, lots of different coaches that kind of taught me some different things. I ended up leaving that school. It just wasn't the right place for me at the time. So I came home. COVID immediately happened after that. I was like, okay, what am I going to do here? And that's when I actually was kind of looking to go away again, and I ended up hurting myself pretty badly, tearing my ACL. I was like, all right, I'm going to stay around here, it sounds like. So it wasn't a straight line for me, right? Like I went away, I came back. I actually tried going to the nursing program at the college, like the year I came back, and I'm like, oh my God, this is not what I expected. And I took that whole year off again, and then that's when I really started to take off fitness-wise. Like I was like, what am I going to do? I don't really know what I want to do with my life. And eventually my parents were like, you like training people? You like writing programs? Why don't you train people? And I was working at Starbucks at the time, and there was a lady that came through all the time. She was like, you're working out? Do you want to train me my daughter? And that's pretty much how I started, was through that interaction. And she brought me more and more people. I enrolled in the fitness and health promotion program at this college, and then tried to start my co-op here.
Man, interesting.
That's nuts, yeah. Well, I had a question about when you said you had to find you had to outsource your coach.
Yeah.
So Lisa and I talk about this all the time, but like as you get older, because she teaches piano, right? Mm-hmm. So she always found it was easier to teach the older students, because it's like we know how to learn faster. Did you feel like you picked up baseball really quick because you were older? Like that you just took like life skills and you were able to kind of like apply it to baseball?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it, right? I had at that age, I was a very raw player. Like I had some abilities with like some speed and some power, but I just didn't know what to do with it. And I didn't have any of the bad habits that I had when I was from like a younger baseball player per se. Like some players, they play so long and they start so early that maybe they sometimes develop kind of weird movement patterns.
Right, or don't have the body awareness to fix it.
Yeah.
Because they don't maybe have the athletic
100%.
ability, or just we're trying to fix things in younger kids that just aren't, you know.
Yeah, and that's kind of what happened with me was I didn't have any bad movement patterns per se, and then I was also just very raw with some abilities, and the coach that I was working with was really just able to kind of groom me, and I didn't have any flaws that way, I would say, which allowed me to you know what I mean, kind of excel in that field of that. Yeah, I think that's how I wanted to come across there with it.
That's super cool, man, because I feel like I'm, just for me personally, like I feel like I learn very fast now. Like I learn, like if you showed me how to do something, I can do it right back almost, because, and it's just because I've acquired so many skills. It's like I can now apply them across the board, which is really cool to hear that, because like learning new skills as you get older it's not, it sounds bad, but like it's not that it's not celebrated. It's just people don't want to do it. It's like people are afraid to look like an idiot, or they look like the newbie at an older age when you're trying to learn something new. It's like you gotta suck before you can get good. But it's just very cool seeing like an older, I mean, you were still what age were you?
I was probably like 13, 14 at the time. Okay, so it was funny too, because like kind of like you talked about here at the gym, right? It was like, we will teach you everything you need to know about fitness. We're looking for just kind of the qualities, the general qualities that we're looking for. And that's what I found in baseball too, was a lot of coaches were like, hey, like we will work with you because we know that you have these tools. You're not refined yet, but you will get there. And I had a team that I got cut from a couple years after that. And it was just, like at the time I wasn't probably good enough to make the team. But they were like, hey, you're a really good athlete. You're just not a baseball player. Right. So then like, that was when I was like, okay, like I need to become a better baseball player, not just athlete. Now I have these tools. Now let's refine everything. So I think that going off of what you said there, that's another way to look at it is,
like being an athlete and playing, like being an athlete and playing sports are two different things. Cause like I think that I'm athletic, but I can't play sports at all. But like I like doing things that are like that would involve being athletic.
You can juggle though.
I can juggle. I learned how to juggle.
You can juggle.
So funny. All
right, guys. So now this segment of the show we do every single week is going to be the Morning Wood, brought to you by Mike DeFazio. Plug your coaching system, please.
So the new coaching system is called Maker's Legacy, and I'm going to be working with very specific furniture builders or anybody that's making anything with their hands. So if you guys need help growing and scaling your company, let me know. I'll fix you up.
So I'm here with guys who are coaching people to build things.
That's dope.
So normally we take like one question from our audience, whether that be through Instagram or through any other social media avenue or direct messages to me. But today, because we got Austin here and I know that people want to know what's up, and there's so many questions that go along with what Austin does, is that we are going to take multiple questions. So Mike, you didn't understand when I put this that you were actually going to be one of the people that there were questions for Austin like that weren't going to be answered on our social media. It was actually for the podcast. So why don't you start with yours, dude?
So I didn't know what was
he
going
answered.
on.
I'm like, oh,
I didn't know what was going on.
Give me some content. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I hardly know what's going on when we're here. But
the best part about you, dude.
That's part of the best.
But you learn fast once you walk in.
Once
you learn how to run these microphones so that people stop complaining about our sound.
Yeah. Damn it. I'll have to work on that. So my question was, what's more important? Is it getting in the protein or being how did I word it?
I gotta read your question for you. Okay. From Michael DeFazio.
Here we go.
Big fan of the podcast.
Big fan.
Is getting your protein more important than being over your calories?
So I think that's an interesting question, right? So prefacing, I'm not like a nutritionist. Danny's our specialist, but getting your protein in is an enormous task. It's super important, right? Because it's going to provide kind of the building blocks that you need to build muscle. At the end of the day, though, if you're trying to build muscle, I think also getting in those calories is going to be a very important thing, right? Because even if you are eating enough protein, but you're in a calorie deficit, if you're a more advanced individual and you've been training for a long time, I don't think that you're going to be providing enough resources to grow, if that's your goal. Danny will probably be able to tell you better on this, but there's a lot of research now, I think, that says like if you are eating in a calorie surplus, you don't need as much protein as someone that would be in a deficit. So if you're trying to build muscle, it's very important to eat your protein. And if you're in a surplus, it might not be as important to get right to that, like,
in a surplus.
Point. Yes, in a surplus.
You're somebody who's like on and again, and I won't get too far outside of our lanes here. Austin knows more about this than me, but I have sat through a million of Danny's seminars now, and we just did one. 6-week transformation, and by the time this thing airs, it'll probably be the first day or the first week that it's been going on, the 6-week transformation, one of our best programs here. And Austin has actually enhanced it, because we used to just go hard as hell. Now Austin's got us doing this like bodybuilding, body forging almost thing. Anyways, she would say that protein, if you're going to hit one number, hit the macro. Like she would say prioritize macros over calories. But you have to give a beginner something, right? So if we said hit them both and they're like, oh, right? It's easier to say we got to hit this. And the reason she says is because macros affect your body composition. So we'll be targeting body composition a little bit more, which is the goal of the 6-week transformation. We have 100 people signed up this year, and I bet you only 20 of them are here for weight loss. The result might be weight loss for more of them, but most of them are actually not eating in a deficit. They're eating at their, like, what would you call it?
I guess.
Yeah, your maintenance of like whatever your metabolism results. But we're really focusing on those macronutrients, because if you're whatever 200 pounds and you're eating 2,200 calories as your maintenance, that's just me making a number up. She wants you to make sure that one, you hit those, that the 2,200 calories is built of the way she wants it built, because that's going to change your body
100%.
Right, and that's going to get you leaned up. And that's why people sometimes, like, we've had people who've lost 3 pounds, and you're like, they look like they've lost 20. It's wild, because they've just like built up their shoulders, built up their chest, built up their booties. Right, and they leaned out in there. And the more that you lean out across your waist, the more shapely you look as a woman or a man, right? Like, which is usually aesthetically pleasing.
Man, that sounds so fun right now.
Well, you're going to be jumping in the muscle mission though, right?
I'm going to be I'm gonna
Mike's doing my online program. If anybody's listening, we got my online program starting up, and Austin's going to have a great amount of, reflection's not the word, influence on this program, as he's going to be really looking over the training and making sure that people's programs are getting loaded up appropriately and delivered properly. And I'm going to be there more for the motivation. Danny's going to provide the fuel. So you're getting everything, but in an online setting. So a guy like you who goes to some shitty gym somewhere that I don't, I'm just kidding. You go to a great gym. You go to Riverside, and I love the guy out there. But and he's supposed to be on the podcast, Joey. Shout out to Joey. We got to get him in. Right, so you can go to Joey's and you can just do our programming there. And not even our program. It's a program built for you directly. And in 12 weeks, we're trying to help some dudes put on some muscle. You said it was for dads, and I qualify. You do qualify now, man. You do qualify. All right, so next question. Here we go. Oh, that's a good one. How about, what's a day in the life of your meals? Well, guys, you can memorize this. I'll tell you, I've been around Austin long enough. Man. Brace yourselves. I'm super boring. Oh my god. Oh my god. You guys always make fun of me. I hear it. So one time he kissed the girl though. One time. Like one time he rolled through a stop sign. These are the jokes we make on Austin, right? Because so this is why the kid looks the way he does, though, man. Because he is like, you talk about habits, you've got him. So go ahead, in the morning, predominantly I'm gonna eat like eggs and egg whites, right? So usually I'm about 2 eggs, about 3 egg whites with some spinach, and then I'll probably have some sort of carb source. So either that's like oatmeal, or that's I do like some bread, so like a bagel or some bread or something like that with a little bit of honey. So that's like my go-to kind of breakfast meal. And then for lunch, this is where like these guys see it all the time. I'm like so simple with it. I got usually some chicken, usually some white rice, and some veggies. And that, like, honestly, it tastes good to me, and like I look forward to eating it every day. So that's kind of my spot right now. It's almost always ground chicken though.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
You eat a lot of ground chicken.
Yeah, I do eat a little bit of ground chicken. I'm more on the chicken breast right now, though. So I'm mixing it up a little bit. And then usually I'm for like dinner, I'm like ground beef. Again, some sort of like potato, like white potato or sweet potato. I will mix a protein shake in there as well. So some protein with some berries, peanut butter, and then right now I've been rocking with the Ninja Creamy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. You bought one too?
Yeah,
oh
yeah.
My God,
that was my birthday wish right there. So I got a Ninja Creamy. I'll usually right now I'm going with like a banana, some sort of milk, protein powder, a little bit of like vanilla extract in there, and then it's like perfect. Yeah, it's like I put it in there. I come home.
You guys are selling me. I might have one by next episode.
I'm telling you, your life will never be the same.
So I think like we're decent in the gym, all of us, and I think like not sounding too cocky, we look pretty good. For aesthetically, Austin's freaking ridiculously ripped.
Absolute stud.
One of the reasons though is like all joking aside about Austin being the boring stuff, but when he says he usually eats those things, I mean 98% of the time he eats those things. Yeah. I've seen him smash some chips though.
Oh yeah,
and some cookies. You got a weakness for cookies,
see it.
right? But yeah, as we go and have Ajay's wedding this weekend, so we'll get into things. But we kind of all eat almost the same thing. Like you're taking a decision out of your hands and just making it sweat. And like you can change that chicken meal by just changing like some soy sauce or some mustard or some different kind of seasoning. Like you're able to change any of those meals so easily and then still hit your macros and enjoy it and 100%. Change up the vegetable, change up the fruit. Maybe that I have fruit as my carb source in the morning. Right, rather than that honey that you like. But I've been getting into the honey a lot lately. Because Steph Crawford, who works here, her husband actually does the whole bee thing. And,
that's super cool.
There's nothing like that good honey. And actually honey on ground beef and stuff. Unreal.
Yeah, with rice.
I haven't tried that.
Yeah, honey and ground beef, rice and some like sriracha or something. Oh boy. Boy, that's good stuff. So like just keeping it simple, and you notice that he had like a fatty meat, a lean meat.
Yeah.
And a mix with the breakfast with the eggs, with the yolks and the egg whites. So he's kind of like, he's really emphasizing that protein first, which is one of the things we do here.
Oh, yeah.
But he's also hit kind of all those categories. That's typically our mix. It's like a mix in the morning, a lean lunch, and a fatty dinner.
Yeah.
And the order of that's not important. Just typically we got to lay it out somehow, and that's how we usually do it.
Yeah, very consistent and very boring, but it also, tastes good to me, and it's something I can adhere to. So it's consistently just good for me, at least.
Yeah, that's the best, man. Like eating, like I eat chicken and rice or beef and rice. Like both of those meals every day. I can do that for the rest of my life. It's like like you just said, I'm like excited to eat the same thing every day. I love it. It's like my favorite part of the day. Chicken and rice. Yeah.
So we had this question come in on a few different ways. Some people said 10, some people said 1, some people said 5. Yeah. So we had this question 4 different times, but we're going to leave it open to all of us, actually. So we'll go around the room here. If you were only able to do, we'll go one exercise for the rest of your life, what would they be? What would it be? This guy asked 10, but another person over here asked 1 and 5. So we can get through the show, we're going to go with 1. Then give me 1 or 2 each. So start with whoever you want. You want to start off?
Oh my God. One exercise for the rest of my life? I love to squat. Squatting is probably like one of my favorite exercises. If there was one exercise that I could do for the rest of my life, probably be some sort of squat. And then for like an upper body would be, I love some pull-ups too. So I'd probably 1 lower, 1 upper, squat, pull up.
Squat and pull up. You know, it's people like, not that you were not strong when you walked in here, but it's been wild also to watch you. You developed you came in here ripped and lean and strong more than most people. But the strength increases that you've seen since joining the garage gym, which is like a lot of people think, especially dudes for some reason, that like they're going to come here and get weaker. You are stronger than 98% of the men before you walked in here. Now you're stronger than almost everybody. Like I'm not talking in the garage gym, I'm just talking walking in life, right? In the gym it'd be a lower percentage because there's a lot of strong guys in here. Yeah. But like you came in here and you blew away that squat, you blew away your deadlift and your bench press, which is always been the one I teach on, right? Like the watching you, and it's from being around other people that were stronger than you. Yeah. It's such a, you were probably the strongest guy in the room when you're training with your buddies. Yeah. Then you come here, you get some guys who have got more years on you, and you're now playing catch up on a lot of those things. Yeah. And now to watch you come and now surpass us, I can't wait to see what you're doing when you're, because I would think I was my strongest about 34, 35. And just I can't wait to see what you're doing in 10 years from now. If you're doing what you're doing now, it's wild.
Yeah, it's funny. There's levels to everything, right? And it's when I came in, like you said, like I was strong, but not as strong as I am now. And you know, I mean, trying to bring up my bench press, right? Like benching with you all the time and trying to figure out technique things and just like accessory movements to kind of bring my bench up. And then you go and you know, I mean, I think my deadlift's pretty strong. And then we go to Indiana to Gus's place, and there's people that are just like smoking me on the deadlift. And I'm like, oh my God, right? So there's always just.
I mean, even when you walked in here, you would barely hit a 500-pound deadlift.
No,
and then you hit how much?
Yeah, 615 was what I got. And,
what?
Yeah, like that's an insane. Like 500 is a pretty good number, and you hadn't even hit it yet, or maybe you had hit it once in your life.
Yeah, I think like way back.
You know, and then you went from 500 to 615, and literally, I bet you in the last 2 years, like not even take away the first year you were really around here. Like in the last 2 years, it's been wild.
Yeah, it was a very quick kind of jump up to there, especially when I switched over to sumo too.
Yeah, not guaranteeing anybody that kind of result, but I'm like, so you got to do 1 or 2 exercises the rest of your life.
I have to agree, man. I think squats, like I was going to say squats before you even said that, just I feel like it takes care of so much of your body. Like when I do squats, even just like air squats, whatever, like I can feel it in my hips, my stomach, like my lower back. I feel it all over the place. The second one, I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like I'm trying to be practical. Like what could I do that wouldn't just result me in having a huge ass and like huge like I guess I feel like you kind of nailed it with the pull-ups, man, because your back is super important. To be strong.
Well, I love pull-ups. Pull-ups. If there's one thing where I would say like, if I was going to compete against anybody in the world, anybody who walked in, when I used to go to Jim Jones, the strongest people, you know, pull-ups is where I'm like, oh yeah, I am going to be one of the best here at this. That's like my move, you know. That's in the CrossFit thing we do the Murph. Like I know that I'm going to go in and like I'm going to put up some good numbers because once I get to pull-ups, I'm catching everybody.
Yeah.
Like pull-ups is one of my love.
Yeah, you're doing one-arm pull-ups at my Christmas party in the shop. I remember that. I was like, dude, I can't even hold myself.
I love me some pull-ups, but I guess for me, I'm gonna say lower body. I'm gonna go RDL, and I'm gonna do a little Austin here. I'm gonna go a little bit nerdy on that. Is like I just feel like RDL, Romanian deadlift, is going to get me like a really, really full body. It's gonna get your upper back, your legs, your ass, like my hamstrings and ass to protect your low back, and I think that's so important. RDL, I'm choosing RDL over deadlift because it's going to force me to be a little bit lower in weight at this stage of my life. So RDL is going to force me to use lighter weight, which will help me to, I think, stay a little bit. When we lift heavy now, when I power through, I get sore. I get bad sore, like knees, elbows, hips, stuff like that.
Joints.
Yeah, you know, so like that's where I'm thinking in this point in my life. But then I'm going to totally contradict that because I'm going to go to the bench press. I would bench press every day of my life. Maybe every day of my life I would bench press. I feel like I might have bench press every day of my life for about 30 years. But the dumbbell bench press too right now, dumbbell with a slight incline, I love it. I'm all over that. You've been programming that for me lately. That low incline, I love it with a dumbbell. I feel like good stretch. But the barbell bench press, my absolute favorite. But then I guess if I was really going to say health-wise, totally addicted to these kettlebell flows. A full body kettlebell flow. Like moving between 4 or 5 movements.
And that's when you go up with it?
Yeah, no, it's really anything as long as you combine a bunch of movements.
Oh, okay.
You know, I've got a bunch on my Instagram. You've been using some here.
Yeah.
I just find that they challenge my mobility. They get me moving. They're strength based. They get my heart rate kind of going. 15 minutes, so much bang for my buck.
You can do anything with kettlebells, right?
And I feel like as I progress in my life here, those are having a lot more value to them.
100%. Yeah. I would agree. Like kettlebells, I know you love to bench press too, right? And you pick a movement that's also very like movement efficient too, or like there's like a lot of efficiency with a low incline too. Is like you're gonna get you're gonna actually hit your whole chest to that. Like it's gonna be nice upper chest, mid chest, tricep, front delt, right? So and then picking a RDL as well, the hamstring, glute, lower upper back. So movements that are just efficient and train a bunch of muscles if you only have a few movements to pick from are fantastic.
Would you go with the low body squat, Mike?
Squats, I just love squats, man.
You're safety body squatting in here, right? For the first time, right? with the SSB, the one with the handles.
I've never used one of those before.
I love that. I'm loving the safety squat
super
bar.
Different because it wasn't like the weight was in a different spot than I was used to. It's like this is really different. Even when it was when we were in the old gym, you guys showed me how to do the front squats with the bar in the front. So different. Like what a different exercise. It's like focusing on different parts of my legs.
Yeah, and getting your abs differently, right? With a front squat or a safety squat, it's gonna get you like more upright.
Yeah.
Like when you see the people, like I think that day you were training with a couple of the strength squad folks, Andrew and Val were training with us.
Oh yeah.
And they were using it, and he had them on that bar for what reason? I know what reason, but maybe it's better to hear you say it.
I mean, they have like an issue where their kind of upper back collapses as they drive up. So the SSB is going to force a more upright torso position because it's going to be higher on your back. It's very similar to a front squat. It's just a little bit easier to load. So the SSB really is going to force them to stay stacked, which is going to work on their weakness. Not that you can't lean forward in a squat, but they were getting like bent over. So putting them on that and letting them feel that positioning and having to work with their upper back to stabilize out of the bottom position specifically was a big game changer for them, I think.
We kind of use the bench press, the back squat, and the deadlift as like markers. And so for those individuals, and like everybody's going to have a weakness. So it's like back squat. Where are we seeing when the weight gets heavy and things get hard? Where are we seeing them? And for them, and with so many people, probably the most common one of everybody is their chest starts to come forward over their knees.
Yeah.
So the idea is, okay, let's change up that bar. Let's put them in their weakest spot. Let's try to make that spot stronger. You know, let's do that for 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, you know, spread out. And then let's come back to the back squat again and see, is it better? And generally it is. And then it's like, okay, let's put some more weight on there and let's see what's weak now.
Yeah.
Right. And then it's like, now let's work on that, because maybe now it's their knees are collapsing. So we're going to do some stuff to make their hips stronger, things like that. That's how we're diagnosing every movement.
Right.
And so, which leads to the next question. I've been seeing a lot about the strength squad that Austin runs. What is the difference between that and the garage gym? And I kind of like privied that because in the garage gym, Austin's programming for 12 people, 18 people at a time, but here you're programming directly for that person, their weaknesses.
Yeah, so Strength Squad, we do follow the same general flow of what the class is doing. So if the emphasis in the classes is on muscle building, we're going to be predominantly in a muscle building type of phase for the Strength Squad, but it's a very individualized program, right? So you're getting your own program custom made for you based on your goals. So if your goals are to bring up your chest, we're going to prioritize your chest in your workouts. We're going to prioritize some of the muscle groups that you're trying to train. The other thing that we really do is we use a lot of special equipment. We use a lot of machines, things that are more stabilized, that are going to specifically target not just your chest, but maybe the specific region of your chest as well. There's multiple different regions, and based on what your goal is and what we think you need, we're going to prescribe exercises for that. So Strength Squad is a more individualized approach where we're giving you what you want and also what you need through special exercises and through individualized programming, I would say. Right.
So like we are unable to use certain methods and certain pieces of equipment in our general classes. Just the nature of the beast with general group programming is great. The way we do it, I think, is the best. However, there's going to be some weaknesses, and people think for the Strength Squad that it's only for the fittest, the strongest. You could actually argue that the people with the more complex injuries or the people that are beginners would actually gain more from being in Strength Squad, because they get, with their added investment, they get added attention. Like you're on them all the time.
It's kind of like you guys like building certain foundation that you might need to be able to really benefit from the group classes. You have to build it first. If they don't know, if they're a new guy coming in and they don't know how to lift at all, that would probably be a more beneficial spot for them to start, right? Yeah,
they're going to get more attention on those lifts, like really. So they're going to get their lifts fixed faster.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
You know, instead of dividing ourselves with, you know, it's to the point in this gym, most people have been here 5, 6, 7 years. Like I'm not paying a lot of attention to the people at 4 o'clock that are in the first 3 racks. Like I'm paying a lot of attention to them. Like I'm spotting them. I'm making sure they're good. We're tweaking the minorest thing. Maybe Bart, hey, watch your knee. Take that knee out. But the person who just walked in is going to get a lot of our attention. So it is. We triage in here, I guess, a little bit. But yeah, the Strength Squad's been going great. If anybody's interested in that, it's ever expanding. We just renewed, and literally there's no spots available. So we have 18 spots available in the Strength Squad. The first 6 people have never left. And the next 12 people who just joined in when we expanded it have all basically, I don't have confirmation from all of them, but it looks like they're all staying, which is great news. It's a tribute to what you're doing and what we're doing here as a unit, and I love it. I think it's so great. Exciting. I think it's the evolution of the garage gym. It's the next step, the next phase.
It's epic.
All right. Okay, so speaking of Strength Squad, I'll let you guess. So that last question was from Dan Pajo, a great guy in here. We got a couple of them in here. Here's one. Do you like older ladies?
All right.
Oh my God! What would your answer be?
Who do you think this question comes from?
This has got to be Val.
Hang on. It had to be Val or Amy or Nat, right? It's probably Val speaking on behalf of all of them. So
yeah.
Do you like older ladies?
No, I do not. Mariana, if you're listening to this, don't. No. Yeah, there's the inside joke going around.
Yeah, it's hilarious. So these groups in Austin, they just develop. They're around each other so much. Yeah. It's funny. It's like, and we, here we keep it as professional as we can. But honest to God, when we're able to make fun of each other and have fun with it, there's a lot of chatter, chirping that goes both ways. When Austin starts to get complicated, the ladies just are like, take your shirt off. And he gets red, and then he catches himself leading into our next question. Austin. So we start. What is a nerdy passion of yours outside of fitness?
Ooh,
and this one comes from the Mrs. Smith.
Oh, okay. So weird nerdy passion of mine is philosophy, specifically like some Stoic philosophy. Now, this sounds like super nerdy. I'm not gonna lie, but I have a really good buddy actually who always tried to, kind of slowly drip that in for me. Like he was like, hey, you should read this book. And I would read it and I'd be like, oh my God, this is so boring. And then eventually I just started to develop a passion for, I guess, the way that specifically these people in the past that have been so successful in leadership and just in life think. Like you're literally getting some of these philosophy books like meditations, and you're reading like the daily journals of like a Roman like emperor, right? And the way they're thinking, and it's just like a unique perspective as well. Like you can just see how other people view situations and how to kind of maintain your composure as well. Specifically, I guess when you're out in the field here, whether I'm teaching here or teaching at the college, how to compose yourself, how to speak kind of with authority, and then also view others' perspectives on things. So Stoic philosophy for sure is like a weird little
book recommendation on this.
I'm reading Meditations right now by Marcus. I've
read it. It's good.
Yeah,
it's good. There's there's probably multiple versions. There's one I've read. I read the one where it's just basically him, and then you think about it yourself. There's another one that's been rewritten. It's still his journal entries, and then it's like somebody's like basically on that.
Yeah. I have that one too, actually. I think.
Yeah, I enjoyed both of them because sometimes you read the other person and how they interpreted it, and you're like, oh, I never thought of it that way, and you kind of it is interesting.
It's an easier read.
Like, what do you got? Nerdy passion.
Yeah.
Nerdy passion.
There's nothing nerdy about Mike. Mike is like the coolest fucking dude around. It's true.
Honestly, I think like I totally nerd out on like spreadsheets.
Oh yes, I was gonna actually say, except for spreadsheets. Yes, you're right. When we worked with Mike's business, Mickey and I were like, "What the fuck is this? Spreadsheet on spreadsheet on spreadsheet."
I got spreadsheets for everything, man. I love it. I love building like calculators and like digital tools and stuff. That's been something that I would have never thought. If you would have told me I was gonna get into that a couple years ago, I would have been like, "You're crazy." But man, I love it. It's like a seeing into the future sometimes when you gotta like make spreadsheets and stuff. You can see like where things are going and how they're moving, like data analysis. Like I never even thought I could even pronounce that word, but now I like it.
Oh my God.
I mean, I guess my nerdy passion is just reading. Like we talked, I think it was a couple episodes ago with Jack Nerds. It's reading from like all kinds of different, like I've read books on data analysis. I've read books on, Stoic philosophy. I've read books on just like, I also like a good sci-fi or a good thriller or a good detective mystery. Like I think nerdy reading is kind of my thing.
For sure.
So sick. And I'm starting to Canva Canva and making social media, like attractive social media stuff.
I would love to watch you on Canva, bro.
I find it very, very like satisfying to make. Like I sent that thing to you guys yesterday. Like that looks awesome. Like when somebody says that back to me, I'm like,
hell yeah.
Thank you. Because like to see where I was like a year and a half ago before I took that role back from Joe, who hated it. Before I took that back from Joe, and I only took it because it was like not getting done to like the degree I wanted because I forced somebody in that position. That's a whole other learning curve. And then to like understand that I'm actually able to do this stuff now, and like Riley used to do such a great job for us. It's like, you're doing that? She can't believe it's me, right? And I'm like kind of
take some pride in that. Yeah.
That's super funny.
Yes, very, very. All right, I think we got time for one more here.
Great question.
One more burning question. What's with all these guys in this the same question? Was the one exercise you would do? Okay, how do I look as yoked as you?
There's a lot of ways you can do it, right? But I think the more I've kind of read into the research and
the book of yokeness,
the philosophy of yokeness, I've started to learn. I mean, like really the most important things that you need to focus on if you're trying to build muscle is training close to failure, right? So if you're training at a relatively close proximity to failure, close to, like a 1 to 2 reps away basically from that, that's a good start. And then making sure that you're using kind of a moderate amount of sets and reps, right? So I think people get caught into the idea of doing, 5, 6, 7 sets for, a muscle group in a session. I think it's better to err on the side of 1 to 3. So if you train intensely, use a kind of a moderate amount of volume and kind of lift in a moderate rep range, anywhere from like the 4 to 8 rep range. Those are good starts, and then just focus on progressing those movements week to week is the big thing. Add some weight, add some reps to that. And then if you're really looking to maximize some progress, start really picking some exercises that are going to target the specific muscle group in a good position where it's strong. I think those would be the things that I would focus on. It's simple. Perfect. You don't have to get into the nerdy stuff about it. That's right.
That one's from Katie. And follow-up question to that. It's perfect because it's from somebody else. But I recently did a trial at the garage gym, and you guys talk about strength prioritization, and that's your programming is, sorry, I lost the words there. Your program is basically strength almost all week, sprinkled in with a couple of HIIT classes. Why would this be better for me than always doing HIIT? Signed, a woman who wants to know.
Yeah, so if you're, it will depend on your overall goal, I guess, but really strength is going to be the foundation for a lot of things. So if you're getting a lot stronger, cardiovascularly, you're going to be able to maintain, I guess, a higher level of output on a specific exercise if you're stronger, right? Because you'll have to, if you're riding that bike and you've got a 100-pound squat, right, and you're maxing out going as hard as you can on an air bike, that might be, 80% of your effort on there. But then if you bump that 100-pound squat to 120, 130, that effort that you have to exert at that specific intensity is going to be a little bit lower. So if you do want to actually get more cardiovascularly fit, getting stronger is an indirect way to do that, because you're going to basically have a higher ceiling that way. And then the other thing too is that HIIT workouts are great, but again, there's only so many that you can do to keep creating an adaptation. And at some point, you're going to want to build some muscle and lose some body fat. And I think strength training is going to be more of the long-term gain or game for that, because you're going to increase your metabolism, you're going to have more muscle mass, and you're going to have the affordance to do less cardio day to day anyways, because you have all those other things.
Right. Like to translate that for anybody is like basically what I'm reading into there is what you're saying is that, like, say we had a 60-second block or a 30-minute block to go for a run, or a 60-second block where you're going to, in a HIIT class, or a 45-second block in a HIIT class where you're going to do burpees. You're only going to be able to take those burpees so far. You call it 10 in 45 seconds or 15. But to get beyond that's going to be hard.
Yeah.
Or to run for 30 minutes, to get beyond whatever it is, 5K or 6K, it's going to be very hard for you to increase. we're here in the gym. If we would not do it like this, but say you bench pressed every single week, you know, or you bench pressed on the first Monday of every month, you're going to be able to kind of to a degree add a half a pound to that every single workout forever.
Yeah.
Forever. So we're increasing stimulating change forever.
Yeah.
Whereas in those other outputs, it's very hard to measure any kind of increase. You're going to be limited, right?
Yeah.
Not to mention the bang on your body for a little bit of...
Yeah. Oh my God, like the small amount of incremental gain.
Right.
Yeah.
Risk versus reward is actually high.
Yeah. The ceiling is so incredibly higher with strength than it is trying to just lose weight doing those HIIT classes.
Right.
Yeah.
Then, you know, your cardio still does pile into it. You know that
for sure.
You've laughed in here that we do cardio days on Wednesdays, and you've come along for the ride.
Yeah.
But we're adding that cardio. By you adding a little bit of cardio, you're actually pouring into that triangle so that your peak lifts are going to be higher because you're getting worn out. You're probably getting worn out on set 3 of your back squats, your passion back squats, right? Whereas if you bring in that cardio up, maybe you're going to have the like he said at the start of the show, the gas tank to get that shit done.
Right.
100%.
That's pretty sick. Yeah, and like you guys mix it all in here. Like it's mixed.
It's all important.
It's mixed, but it is strength prioritized, and a lot of you've seen our cardio days. They're strength based cardio days.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like there's still lifting like heavy weights.
But we got to sprinkle in that cardio, no matter how bad we all don't want to do it.
I just try to avoid those days.
You're young enough now. You're young enough. Wait till you guys get here.
No,
wait till you guys get here.
It's actually super fun. The cardio days, everyone's just taking a beating, but it's fun. It's good.
Man. Yeah. Well, guys, I think this has been an awesome show. Very informative. We appreciate you having you on here, Austin, and we're going to definitely get you back on here, especially with the, seeing all the questions from people. It just makes it people want to know, and we want to give the answers, and let's bring in the best people to get the answers. Awesome. So, thank you for having us.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for having us. Thank you for coming on the show, man. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Cool. Over and out.